Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, in this video, we're going to talk about how to troubleshoot. All right, let's try that again, shall we? All right, here we go. We're going to be discussing, or I'll be showing you, how to go about troubleshooting certain issues in regards to figuring out what's wrong, if it's the camera or if it's not the camera, or it could also just be things within your own technique. So we're gonna quickly. I just thought of these off the top of my head. There's a lot more troubleshooting stuff that can be done. Uh, I'll think of some more. And yeah, but anyway, here's the very beginning of how to do your own troubleshooting on your camera. So let's get right down to it. Okay, so in regards to troubleshooting your camera, I mean, obviously, I'm primarily a Pentax shooter. That's what I use. So most of this is going to be geared in regards to the Pentax way of saying things. However, what I'm about to get into actually does it does apply to pretty much any camera with an interchangeable lens or any other camera that shoots in manual mode and the like. So let's get right to it. So if you're shooting in, say, manual mode with automatic ISO, and your pictures are coming out either overexposed or underexposed, but you do have a few that actually did come out right. The one thing you want to actually make sure you have enabled, if you can, is your histogram here, and pay attention to your shutter speed, aperture, and your ISO. Now, I'm going to change the shutter speed here. I'm using TAV, which on a Pentax is the same as manual mode with auto ISO. Now, as I change the shutter speed higher, you'll notice the ISO is actually going up. Now, I have it set to a maximum of 6400. So you'll see what happens once I get to 64 and then try to adjust it so it's a faster shutter speed again, and boom, it starts blinking. That right there is telling you that the camera cannot expose properly for that specific shutter speed. So let's actually dial it down to right at 6400 and we'll see what happens there. It's 1/60th of a second. Okay, so that looks like that. And now let's go beyond 164. Or sorry, 1/80th. So beyond 6400 ISO. I accidentally took too many shots here. So that's 64, and that's the one that's beyond 64. Now you'll notice at the bottom here, those are the settings that you had in there. The camera can't go any higher. It flashes red to let you know that it can't go any higher. So if we keep going, say 1/500th, and then look what happens. Don't mind that. And let's see what happens if we go down to 100. Okay, so 100 ISO, 1 second shutter speed. And that's what we get. Now let's go, say, 10 seconds, which is going to be blurry, but this is just to show you what basically happens. And there you go. Now to you, everything should work, right? Because it's in an automatic mode, so you're changing the shutter speed and everything. You just need to pay attention to any warnings that the camera is telling you. Same as with my other videos, how I explain in manual mode, you need to pay attention to this bar up here and your histogram. So if you need to troubleshoot your photos, those are some things to look at. Just look at the maximum ISO that you have set and pay attention to everything on the screen that the camera is actually telling you. Now, in regards to troubleshooting actual hardware issues, One thing that comes up a fair amount, I'm not sure how it works with other cameras, but if you have one of these types of lenses that actually has a manual aperture ring, the one thing that you want to make sure is that you have the aperture set in auto, not in, turn it, not in any of the manual modes. You want to make sure it's set in auto, and you want to make sure that you have enable use of aperture ring set in your menu. I haven't touched this since I first, actually I think that's in the custom settings somewhere. That is right here, using aperture ring. If you have it disabled, then the camera will not work when the aperture ring, like it will not release when the aperture ring is not set to the A position. And this will release when the aperture is not set to the A position. So if you're using a manual aperture ring lens and it's not set on the automatic setting, then if you don't have that set in your menu, it's not, the camera just won't take a picture. Another useful tip in regards to troubleshooting is if you actually are having an issue with a lens and you have a second camera or you have a second lens, try using the second lens on your camera and see if the camera works. That will eliminate whether or not it's an issue with your camera specifically. If you have another camera body, try the lens on that camera body. It could be that the menu on one body is set, or the setting is different on the one camera body than the other one, or it could very well be an issue with your body, but you want to basically rule out any other possibilities. So if you have two different lenses, swap out the lenses on the same camera body, see if it works. If it works, chances are the issue's with the lens. If you have a second camera body, try the same lens that you're having an issue with, try it on the other camera, see if it works on the other camera. It could be a matter of actually just fixing or cleaning your contacts, which I will explain here. All right, so it could be that you need to clean these contacts here. Wow, is my mirror ever dusty? Wow, I should clean that. So you want to clean these contacts and the contacts on the back of the lens as well, as you can see here. Want to make sure that all the contacts are clean, including these ones here. And yeah, that's pretty much it, really. So if you're having issues with focus and things like that, actually another thing in regards to focusing, if you have your camera set to manual focus and you're using an autofocus lens and you go to try to focus, and these things happen, sometimes you accidentally hit the switch and now you just, there's no focus. Just will not focus. And you wonder why it's not working. It's blurry. No matter what you do, it just won't focus because you don't have it in autofocus, and that's what you're trying to do, is autofocus. So just a couple of very quick things that you can look at in regards to figuring out where your issues actually are. Try those troubleshooting steps first, and hopefully this video helps, and you'll see me on my next one. All right then, peace.